Welcome to Aligned AF, real talk for evolving souls with Yahweh Kent. Join Yahweh for honest conversations on spiritual growth, the messiness of life, and how to move through it all at a higher frequency. So grab a cup of tea and let's sail in. This is Aligned AF, and here's Yahweh.
In a world where men are often conditioned to armor up, shut down, or perform a version of strength that isn't truly theirs, there's a deep hunger for something different, something real. That's where Love Light comes in. Not as a fluffy bypass, but as a steady presence that calls men back to themselves, honest, grounded, and free of the masks that they've been told to wear. Too many men grew up with messages like, man up, don't cry, or prove yourself. And later, in spiritual spaces, some are handed new versions of these same messages, told to rise above, to detach, to stay positive no matter what. Now, on the surface, that sounds like growth, but underneath, it's still avoidance. It leaves men disconnected from their hearts and from the people who need their presence the most. The real journey isn't about polishing the mask. It's about removing it. Today I'm joined by Kayla Watts, who's dedicated her work to helping men see through the cultural conditioning and the subtle gaslighting that keeps them disconnected from their truth. Her approach isn't about tearing men down, but about guiding them toward the strength of vulnerability, the clarity of accountability, and the kind of masculine presence that uplifts rather than avoids. Together, we'll explore what it means to embody love light instead of gaslight, and why this shift matters not only for men, but for everyone they touch. Welcome back to Aligned AF, real talk for the evolving soul. I am your host, Yahweh, and I am very excited about today's episode. When I reached out to Kayla on social media, I had been following her for a little while and listening to some of the work she was doing. So when I asked her if she'd be interested in being on the show, I was thrilled when she said yes. Kayla Watts is an emotional wellness guide and the creator of Love Light Attunements. She helps people return to the safety of their own hearts while awakening the strength, resilience, and adaptability needed to move through life with grace. Her work is rooted in love, presence, and the radiance that comes from living attuned to one's inner light. Kayla, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you.
I'm thrilled that you joined us today. Kayla, I'd love to just dive right in. Let's take a minute, though, and have you tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I said a lot already, but anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, as you were talking about men and needing to have just a safe place and to feel accepted, and I was just reminded to when I was a little girl and people would just kind of tell me things, and especially little boys would share with me, and I remember having this like empathetic ear when I was a kid. But also, like, much of my childhood and teen years and even my early 20s, not feeling like I was good at anything, and realizing that that is like actually a gift, like the gift of listening and understanding and wanting to know another person deeper. It's like I'm kind of seeing like we don't always know what our gifts are when we're little. Like sometimes it takes later in life for them to reveal themselves, and it's just been such a joy having this like constant curiosity of wanting to learn people and understand people.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I'd love to just jump right in. Kayla, can you tell me what inspired your shift into focusing your work on men and the masculine?
Yeah, so there has been a lot of talk recently about masculine-feminine dynamics. It's been something that I've been really curious about. I wanted to learn as much as I could about it. And I've always felt really balanced between the two, but it wasn't until I went through a divorce and had to bring my masculine online, really rebuilding myself brick by brick and letting my masculine be a healthy version of it, because, the wounded masculine is like, I have to do it all by myself, and like life's so hard, and it's not the healthiest expression of it. And so just seeing like, oh my goodness, within each of us is both the feminine and masculine. But
Yeah.
I have just been drawn to learn more, and reading Alison Armstrong. She's made a huge impact on my life this year. I've read a number of her books. She studied men for 15 years. And I'm just understanding, like, yes, I want to work with men, but it's really the masculine in all of us. I am just seeing this play out so the feminist movement was incredibly important. We needed that. As women,
Yeah.
we needed it. We weren't being paid what we were worth. We had to have permission to get credit cards. Like, I'm so thankful for the women that came before me with the feminist movement, but there are always consequences to things. And so what I've seen is that the consequence of that is that men forgot how to be men, or they were shamed or conditioned to think that they couldn't keep the positive aspects of them, which is their strength, their direction, their guidance. And we have this kind of like watered down of masculine, where they have a lot of fear running through their systems of sharing their masculine gifts, and saying like, don't talk to me that way, and like really holding a strong container for themselves, where they feel strong in themselves.
Yeah. I think that coming from my age bracket and when I grew up, I was born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s, became a man in the 80s, and did all the things that I was supposed to do. I can see where there's that imbalance of pushback, where there are literally hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of men out there that are going to say, oh great, this is one more way for you to hate on men. You know what I mean? Tell us we're doing everything wrong. When in fact it's about finding what's really truly the idea of being healthy masculine, being a healthy male in not only in society but in relationships, in the workplace, and in our own selves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. It's like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, let's look at what are the healthy aspects of being masculine. So it's first like building this healthy frame. I really like this idea of masculine frameworks. You're essentially building the structure around yourself, and within it you get to feel safety. But you get to decide, what do you want to put inside of your masculine structure? Integrity is a big one, strength, even compassion, that wanting to offer guidance and direction and like the purpose. But a lot of men haven't even considered that they could build a masculine frame for themselves, that they could have this like strong building where their like consciousness and their soul lives inside, where they feel safe to be strong. Yeah.
I think possibly something else you look at, something else you run into, is coming from the old school patriarchal masculine point of view. When you start adding words like compassion and empathy, they scream feminine, and the old school masculine doesn't want anything to do with that. It feels like you're trying to take my manhood away from me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think so. If you have a strong masculine leader, this is what I was just thinking about this morning. So whether it's in a household or a head of company, you can trust that if he's in his healthy masculine, that he's looking out for the best interest of all. He's going to do his best to care for not only himself, but the people around him.
Yeah.
So if that has been established, that he's a trustworthy person, and for sure he's looking out for you, then he can lead from that place.
Yes.
And so that requires some compassion to be able to do that.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the key is convincing the male that compassion is part of the healthy masculine, where having an open heart for your family and your friends and for the world in general is a healthy way of not only supporting but protecting and leading.
I really like this idea. I was feeling into power. This was up for me a few years ago, like what it meant to be powerful. And I think powerful actually can be very quiet. Powerful can be more subtle. When you're a powerful person, you don't have to yell. You don't have to prove anything.
Yeah.
So if you are a strong, powerful masculine man, it can be really subtle and soft. It doesn't need to be this loud bravado, yelling or just feeling like you have to take up a lot of space to be taken seriously. It's like just tuning into your center and just like being a mountain of power.
Yeah.
Can be subtle.
So I would offer also that when you're working on that, you have to start inside. You have to be that for yourself and know that that's okay before you could even show it as an example to those around you.
Exactly. That's where that masculine structure comes in. So like building the structure brick by brick and just deciding, who do I want to be? What's important to me? What are my values? Because you don't know what your integrity, you don't know whether you're in integrity or not unless you're clear on what your values are.
Yeah.
What's important to me? Once you have that established, then you have your integrity, and then you have something to build for yourself. But unless it's like actually consciously looked at and, breaking down and then built back up, you're just going to be kind of blindly walking around like hoping for the best.
Yeah. And then frustration kicks in and you think, oh, screw it, I'll do it the way I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's laziness if you're the most honest with yourself.
Yeah. And from the masculine point of view, that's hard to hear because there's so much old ego in that structure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's very uncomfortable letting go of the ego. It's not. I'm not saying it's like a walk in the park, but it is so valuable
and so worth the work.
Yeah.
I mean, what you can become on the other side of all that work is truly worthwhile.
Well, and I think it's actually feeling a sense of peace, which is what a lot of men are after. Men want they're just like, just let me be in peace. I feel like that's a pretty common like masculine desire.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't build that for yourself, you're not ever going to experience it. It's actually just numbing out, hiding, and avoiding. It's not true peace.
You're not wrong. I can speak from example on that. My personal life. One of the things that I've always strived for is having my own space, being at peace, having quiet time. I know I've even used the words, I just need some time for peace. I just need that. But then I realized after doing my inner work that I didn't have the peace in here either. So there was nothing that you could have given me or my wife could have given me or my kids could have given me because I didn't have it already with myself inside.
I'm so glad you realized that.
So are the people around me.
I bet. Like, whoa, thank you for doing that work.
Yeah, you did your work. Woo. So when you look at the messages that men grow up with, what stands out most to you?
Yeah, I just don't think they're allowed to have the full gamut of human emotions. It's like, especially young boys, it's that pushing down, because pushing down is disassociating. That's not actual aliveness.
Yeah.
It's like they're not allowed to be a whole and complete human.
Yep. How many times do you tell the little boy, no, don't cry?
And not only that, but like stay clean. Don't be too loud. Don't have so much energy. Like little boys have so much energy to burn, and they're just like little wild animals, which is how they're designed to be.
Yeah.
So it's I know it's not always fun for parents, but kids don't always understand the messaging that we get.
Right.
So if we're told to stop being so fill in the blank, children automatically assume that there's something bad or wrong with them, and so they just shut it down.
Yep.
I just see so many men disconnected from their animal, and I do think finding that animal part of them, like that roar, like the I don't know if it's a bear or if it's a lion, pick your animal.
Lion's a wolf.
Being disconnected. Yeah, like you have to find that animal again for men. Women need it too, for sure. But to find that animal piece of you again is actually where you can find the primal part of you that has the strength to build the structure. But I think it's hard to fully connect with it if you don't have access to your animal. And so it takes intentional work to go back to have that chance to reconnect with the primal part of you.
Yeah. I like this I like this aspect of what you're talking about because so many men have this loud part to them or this angry part to them, and they might assume that's what you're talking about, where it couldn't be further away from the truth.
No, it's this, let me see if I can put it into different words here. It's like the soil of our being is how I think of it. It's a dark part of us, but not an evil part. And when I say dark, I mean soil. It's like it's where we can find our root chakra, like really connect to the most basic primal element of our beings. Yeah. And if we haven't even considered to go there, we don't know what that means. So it's a felt experience, and it's simple, it's just giving yourself the time and space to tune into, okay, what's the animal that lives in me? What kind of sounds would this animal make? And all of a sudden you're like, oh, my protector is online now. Yeah. I didn't have access to this protector. And the protector is first self-protection. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of, like, don't talk to me that way. I see so many, there's always this push-pull between the masculine and the feminine. The feminine loves to push. We push, 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 push. We love to do it. Look at a children are like little feminine beings. Adult women we just love to push you. Like, the feminine urge to nag is real. I was married for a long time, so I know. So we push, but we want something hard to push up against. We need our men to say, don't talk to me that way. But if you haven't found your inner protector as a man, you don't feel comfortable saying that. You don't feel safe. You're afraid love's going to leave. You don't want to threaten the relationship. Like, it's coming from a really kind and loving place that men aren't pushing back. Yeah. But it would actually feel better for both parties if there was just a little bit of, like, that's not how you speak to me in this house. You'll be respectful. Like, just don't, like, actually, you're allowed as men to say this is not okay. To be feminine. Yeah.
And to know that it's okay. It's not a control thing. It's a boundary thing.
Exactly.
And I will have that same boundary for you.
Yes. And if there's anyone that is uncomfortable with you asking for respect, they're benefiting from you being boundaryless. They're benefiting from you abandoning yourself. Yeah. And that's not love. That's not a loving relationship. No, I mean, it doesn't control. And we can be patient, right? So when we make these big shifts, we have to be patient that it's going to be uncomfortable for the people around us. So, just don't write them out of your life immediately. Just be like, okay, I'm trying something new here. Like, are you ready? Like, don't talk to me that way. And they're going to have their own process around it, right? Because it's going to bring up stuff for them. So we give them space for it to be uncomfortable. Like, I know you're not used to me, like, with these boundaries, but these boundaries are important, and letting them have their own process. And hopefully they can look at themselves and be like, okay, wow, he's right. I probably shouldn't talk to him that way. Let's make some agreements here together of how we choose to speak to each other with kindness and respect.
Yeah, and I think that's the key of the delivery, because you can easily say, don't talk to me that way, and then walk away. And that's not an effective tool, where you can say, hey, I don't appreciate the way you're talking to me. I don't think you should be talking to me that way ever. And I also recognize that it's not my place to talk to you that way either. So I want you to know that I'm going to work on it.
Yeah, let's make an agreement in this household. Let's decide together. Yeah. How do we want to communicate with each other? Yeah. It's like you can make agreements within it's like romantic relationship, friendships, business, partnership. You can decide on these agreements, and when they're spoken to, you're much more likely to adhere to them. Yeah. But if they're not ever spoken, nothing ever shifts.
Yeah. Well, one of the keys of change management in business is getting buy-in, and that works in relationships too. You have to get the buy-in of the people that are involved in order for anything to succeed. Yeah. Because if they're not willing to do the work, then it doesn't mean you don't bother, but it also means it's going to be a long, drawn-out uphill battle, because only one half is really doing the pulling.
Well, and just also helping the other person see that it's benefiting both of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. That's good, because that kind of touched on my next question. I was going to ask you how you think childhood messages that we deliver shape the way men show up in relationships and communities.
Oh boy, I feel like this is just like so different in different climates of homes, and if you're raised with religious programming. And I do think it's shifting, but I think that one thing something really subtle that I'm noticing in modern culture. So my friends that have sons, and now they're like going off to college, and I think that the moms stay too close to their sons for too long. I think that's one of the most damaging things that you can do to a young man, is to, as a woman, as the mom, it's hard to let go. I have so much compassion for the moms, so much compassion. I know it's so hard, but when they get to be like 12, 13, it's really in the young man's best interest to back off and start to let him lead himself.
Yeah.
Like, let him be a capable, competent person, because a lot of these young boys aren't even allowed to flex their competency muscles. They're not given a chance to learn how to do it. And so then how are they supposed to be men in the world and be leaders?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that nature of nurture that you've had since the day they came out. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to let go of something. I mean, I totally honor that it's really difficult to let go of something like that. And what is your ultimate goal with raising a child? It's to make them a wonderful, decent, kind, supportive human being that is truly able to be the best person they can possibly be in whatever they choose. And how much are you helping them if you're continuing to just smother and do everything for them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is my desire to see as many empowered men and women as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do think that requires some sacrifice and some... Yeah. And I think, too, what I'm learning more about expressing myself as a feminine woman, it's like, women, we're allowed to be powerful and competent.
Yeah.
We don't have to be like these like meek little like passive things. No, like... Being a feminine woman still means being strong, capable, competent, asserting yourself. Those are beautiful things in a feminine body. Yeah, so I can appreciate the nuance of it, and I can appreciate how it goes against the parent, like the nurturing of a mother.
Yep.
And do you want to have children that are thriving in the world as adults?
Yeah, absolutely right. So as we're growing, as boys are becoming men, and that sort of awkward time in between all that, they start picking up pieces of armor along the way, pieces that they feel are protecting them from certain parts of the world, and think that becomes their strength. But in a lot of cases, what it does is it creates a distance between them and people around them. And how can we as parents help them to understand that type of armor, that type of shield that you put up isn't necessarily the healthiest masculine shield to put up?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that can be also part of the process. And so there are certain things that we have to figure out on our own. So we occasionally have to go through what does not work to get to what does work. And so if you're shielding and not allowing the good stuff to come in too, like at some point you're going to realize like this isn't actually working. So it's helpful to mention it to your child if it's something that you're noticing. Just like, okay, I'm proud of your willpower and your strength. That's great. But you still have a heart. And, it's okay to open it to someone that you trust.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, each of us has to go on our own hero's journey.
Yeah.
And figure it out for ourselves.
Yeah. So what do you say to the guy in his 30s or 40s or 50s even that has lived like that his whole life? Mm-hmm. And he looks around and all of a sudden, he's gone through a couple of marriages. His kids don't talk to him. I mean, just, he's starting to realize that maybe the way he was raised or the way he interpreted his life and what it was supposed to be wasn't necessarily right. How do you help him make some steps?
Yeah, so I've seen this actually quite a lot in my one-on-one work with men. And I always direct them to their heart. And, it's a very guarded heart. And I'll, let them know, wow, I'm really having a hard time accessing your heart right now. But one of the first things that I explain to them is, I would love for you to open your heart, but it's not for me, and it's not for anyone else. It's for you. And so we do an exercise where we just breathe open the heart, and I say even just a millimeter is enough. Just a little bit to let some of the light in, because their heart has been shut so tightly for so long. And this is part of what I love about Love Light, about the Love Light attunements that I share. So I'm teaching people to tune in to the limitless love that's around us all the time. This is outside of romantic love. This is outside of family love. This is a personal relationship that's just between you and love. And so getting into that space with a man to show him and teach him how to actually connect to his own heart is the first step. Because there's been a few people that at one of my Love Light attunements, this woman was almost dumbfounded at the end, because she was just like, oh my gosh, I've only done conditional love. I didn't know that you could just feel love for love's sake. It's like a concept that just hasn't occurred to some people. And I think these men that have been building their lives, it's career and getting married, and then they're raising their kids, and it just has never even occurred to them to tune in to the heart. And I mean, what are we here for if it's not to love, to love first ourselves, and to actually be brave enough to begin to open the heart. And it does feel less scary when you're not, instead of saying I'm going to open my heart to another person. Well, that can be terrifying, right? I can really appreciate that's a big step. So why don't we start with just opening our hearts for ourselves first?
So what do you say to the guy who says, well, doesn't that make me weak? I don't want to be seen as weak.
Sure, I mean, they could say that, but if I could get them to close their eyes and just drop in and take a couple of breaths in the heart, that's not a feeling that they have. It's not. I mean, that would be maybe a little voice of the ego, but it feels so correct to tune into the heart and to feel love, really. Especially the low risk of it's not for anyone else.
Right. So I guess my observation is based on being outside of the attunement, outside of the possibility of being in that space, where there are so many men that I know that I've grown up with that are, still friends and part of my life, that would see it as weakness to even put themselves first. You always put your family first, your kids first, your wife first, your friends first. Everybody's got to be before me. And to focus the attention on myself is selfish and weak, and I don't want to be seen that way. How do you get that guy in your door?
Well, I think the pain of what's not working has to be greater than that feeling. So some people just get to the end where they're just like, ugh. There's something beautiful, and I'll mention Alison Armstrong again, because she talks about the different phases of man, and there's this point called the tunnel. And the tunnel there's 3 stages of Prince, and so that's when you're building your life. And then you go through the tunnel. And the tunnel is when you question everything, when every question is unanswerable, and that is like torture to a man. And so after tunnel, he gets to king. But in order to get to king, you have to get to a place where you say, I am so clear on who I am that there's nothing that you could say that would change my mind on who I am. Like, I've questioned everything. I've gone to the very end. I know myself. And now then they can graduate into king. Some men never leave the tunnel, but most do. So I think sometimes you have to get to that tunnel place where you're just like a little lost, and you are genuinely ready for some type of different direction to take.
Yeah. It's a tough one because, honestly, most men who are just not ready for that conversation with themselves aren't even going to listen to something like this, or they're going to turn away from it. They're going to say, it's a bunch of hoo-ha, and that's not what a real man's like. And 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 then the people in their lives are part of who suffers from that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, is there a way where a family member or a good friend or a spouse could say, you know, I really think he would benefit from this. How do I present it in a loving, caring way?
Well, I think first we have to be so careful with that, because that's assuming that we know what's better for him than he knows.
That's a great point.
Right? So someone has to be ready. If you're not ready for change, it is disrespectful to assume that you know better than they do.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So I'm very comfortable with people thinking it's weak or whatever. It's like I have so much space for people to think differently than me. It's okay. I'm not really here to convince anyone. I'm here to work with the people that are ready for shifts.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up, because you're absolutely right. It's not your place to tell somebody else they need something. I know what you need. Yeah.
Never works.
I do too. It's for somebody to not tell me what I need.
One of the best things that I heard was just to say, like, are you willing to see this differently? And just see what they have to say. Like, if it's no, like, okay, I respect that. But if it's yes, then like there's a little window of a desire for something to shift. So, okay, well, let's see what we can do with that space.
You're absolutely right. And I can tell you again from experience, there was a moment in my relationship with Alara where things were not great. I was still drinking. I was just in a tough space. I had turned my back on spirit, and she finally used those words and said, "Are you willing to see this differently?" And I wasn't. And we separated for a while. Mm-hmm. And that separation was my reality check, to see what I was doing to myself and how it was affecting my family. And that way I was able to finally get sober. I was able to finally do the work that I needed to continue to do. All the while she did her work and still wanted to work on us, but we had to live apart for that to happen in that circumstance. And thank God that it happened, because I've been married 3 times, and I always say she's my favorite wife, and she is by far, because she's the only human being I've ever met that is willing to sit and be with me on all this.
Mm-hmm. And I think
to the point where
she need a break.
They do, and she was so willing to save this relationship that she was willing to step away from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when things aren't working and it comes to a head, like, just let it break. Yep. Because if it is meant to be, you'll come back together. But when you come back together, it's not what it was before, right?
No.
So it's
totally
like
different.
You need the break. The break can be incredibly valuable.
And that's a good thing, because you don't want it to be what it was before.
Exactly.
Because what it was before is what made it break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's move on to a little bit of the difference between love light and gaslight.
Okay, I'd love to.
How does it sometimes show up in men's behavior? Gaslighting. How does it sometimes show up in men's behavior, even if it's unintentional? They don't even realize they're doing it.
So I think what can happen, and I think I'm understanding your question correctly. So there's this way where the man does not want to rock the boat. And so he just kind of like is agreeable and just goes along with everything. And that is a form of, I think, like subtle gaslighting, where he's not even invested or care enough in the moment to even assert his opinion. And so he's just like, whatever you want, whatever you think. It's not true. Is that, am I on the correct vein of your question?
That is part of it to me. That is definitely part of it to me. The other side of it, and I think this is kind of where my question was going. The other side of it is when the man absolutely refuses to believe that anything he did or said or was a part of could be part of the problem. So they will actually convince their partner that it was somehow their fault. or somebody else's fault.
Yeah, so that's a really tricky one. So if you've convinced yourself that you're right, then that's your reality, right? So there's not a lot that can be done in that situation. I mean, it really is up to the woman to say, like, you're fooling yourself if you think this is what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm here and ready and willing to hear you when you're ready to take some accountability. But I think for a lot of people, that step of taking self-responsibility can be terrifying, because it can be like a house of cards that just falls down, and then you realize, oh my God, I'm full of shit.
Yeah.
Which, like, a lot of us are until we do some shadow work.
Yeah.
So it's, do you have the capacity or the willingness to start to look at where you might be harming another, where you might be, I don't like to use the word wrong. I don't think that's actually correct, but it's like, what can you take responsibility for on your side of the street?
Right. How is it that you can only see what others have done and not what your contribution was to the situation?
Yes, and the victim loves to blame everyone else. Like,
Yes.
You're trapped. So many people, this is men and women both, are trapped in the victim cage.
Yep.
And so the victim says, like, I was just talking about this over the weekend with a client. The victim's like, you don't understand how hard it is for me. You're like, I'm like, you don't get it. This is, like, if you understood, you would see how this is the only choice I have, to be in this victim place.
Yeah.
I've been the villain. I've gotten comfortable with being the villain. And what I'll say is, it's spiritual work to allow yourself to be the villain, because I think an empowered person understands that everything that comes into our life is for us. It's a lesson. We get to grow, we get to learn, we get to use new spiritual practices to navigate them. So that's one way of looking at it. The victim immediately makes the other person the villain, and then they take no accountability. There's no growth there. There's no looking within. It's easy, convenient, but also I have so much compassion, because, listen, it's terrifying for some people. Like, they literally feel like they're going to die to look at their own shadow, to look at their own shit. And so that's why I'm so comfortable with being the villain, because it's like, I know in my heart I didn't do anything wrong. I really, truly didn't. But if that's where you're at, where it feels like death to you to take responsibility, then I'm perfectly comfortable being the villain.
Yep.
I mean, my prayer and my wish, though, is that person does eventually take accountability, because when everyone else is the victim, like, how do you know peace? Like, how do you know, like, true contentment?
Right.
And, like, relaxation, and, like, gosh, it feels like this giant weight has been taken off when you finally do. You're like, oh my God, I am partly responsible for this. And it's not like all my fault, but it is partially my fault. I can take responsibility for this, this, and this. And then they did this. It's like, it's always a co-creation. And that, to go back to your question, that the gaslighting, I think it's often learned really young.
Yeah.
And when it's learned really young, it's such a deep pattern. And those patterns are often subconscious. So we're not even aware that we're doing it.
Yeah.
And so it does take some brave people around you to reflect that for you. But it's not going to be fun to hear, and they may not hear you.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think we do it, and quite possibly we kind of create that for our kids by not giving them a safe space to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Where
that's so
where
true, yeah.
siblings will always blame the other one because they're afraid of being in trouble, or worse than being in trouble, disappointing the parent that you love so much. And so you got to put that blame on somebody else. And part of that blame game is us not giving them that safe space to be wrong, to say it's okay. Yes, what you did isn't, necessarily a great thing. And yeah, there probably are going to be consequences, but it's okay. I never stop loving you. I never stop protecting you. And I promise you that if you lie about it, it's going to be way worse. I promise that. That's something.
True. So celebrating children's, like, taking responsibility. Like, I think one of the easiest ways to deflate some of that is just be like, whoops, I messed up. Oopsies. Oh, I didn't know any better at the time. Like, it kind of bringing some lightness to it. even play of like, oh boy, I really messed up there.
Yeah.
Because what often happens in that victim consciousness is so much shame. The victim and the shame are like best friends. Like you're hanging out in that shame. And if you look at, the scale of consciousness, the Hawkins scale, shame is very low. It's like, anger is like 7 or 8 out of 20, but that shame place. So that's why I was saying you never really know peace, but we need people around us to reflect for us when we're in that victim place. It's so confronting to hear. So confronting.
Yeah.
But so valuable.
So we talk about love light. And what I notice I've been doing this type of work for a long time. And I don't mean podcasting, but, energy work, coaching, Reiki master, the whole 9 yards. And so what I've noticed in that type of community, that our spiritual community, our folks that are part of all this, and try to bring it forward as a profession or bring it forward to support people. What I've noticed is that sometimes the love and light scenario is more of a mask than it is a medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say you see that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's just like the toxic positivity. So it's not real. I'm always interested in talking about like what is real right now.
Yeah.
Like, so if you look at like whenever something challenging happens to us, we have to start in victim. You have to say like, this happened to me and it sucked and I hate it and they were mean and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Now we just don't want to get stuck in victim. But it makes me want to scream when people can't touch on what's real, because it's like it's a muscle. Sometimes we have to flex this muscle of actually starting in victim and saying, I hate this sucked. And then you can move on to like having some compassion for it. But so that's the first thing I want to say. And the other thing I want to say is with love light, the whole concept of it, the way I think of it is we need to first regulate our nervous systems before we can go into shadow work. And so like that, what I was saying is a lot of people are terrified to take self-responsibility and look at how they might be part of the problem.
Yep.
Well, if they don't have a regulated nervous system, they're just going to beat themselves up. And that's not actually helpful. And so we need to get to a place where we're running this loving light energy through our body. And so we're feeling more regulated, we're feeling more resourced, and we're feeling like, okay, I'm filling myself up with this loving frequency. And so now I feel like, okay, a little safer, a little more supported, a little more trusting to actually go into some of these kind of yuck places.
Yeah.
And so it's like, because to me, we're never going to be whole integrated beings if we don't go into both places. Like we need to go into our darkness and we need to celebrate the lightness. Like they're equally valuable.
Yep. I think this is good because I think there's so much value in what you're saying for addressing your nervous system with sort of the love light concept, because even if somebody finally says to himself, yeah, I'm kind of being an asshole right now, and I see myself having done that before, I need to look at that. And then they look at it, and all of a sudden they spiral into this, oh my God, I'm a bigger asshole than I thought I was. And it makes it worse for them because they haven't prepared themselves in any way. So that's where you come in.
About it. Yes, and that's I'm constantly checking in with clients when we're going into some of these shadow works. I'm like, okay, you're not using this to hurt yourself, right? Like we're gonna go do this practice, but promise me that you will not hurt yourself with it. Like it is staying in the energy and frequency of loving compassion as you look at your darkness.
Yeah.
And I was, this is another fun conversation I had over the weekend about shadow work and darkness. It's like, I don't want to take the light into the dark. I think our darkness is beautiful. It is part of our story. I love, and like darkness is not demonic, right? Darkness is the soil. It's the dirt. It's where the seeds sprout from, right? And so we wouldn't want the soil or the dirt underneath the grass to be light. That just wouldn't work, right?
Yep.
So it's like, I love this idea of keeping the darkness intact instead of like trying to bring light to it. It's like, no. We value both equally because they make up part of the whole of our being.
Right. And the beauty of that whole so supersedes the beauty of anything separately.
Yes, and I understand too that for a lot of people it's just words until it's a felt experience.
Correct.
It's just a concept until it's real for you. And once it's real for you, it is deep. It is
Yeah.
so healing. And
Yeah.
then you actually do get to have like experience what self-love feels like.
Yep.
But if you haven't touched that place, it's just a concept until then.
It's a hard one. That's something that I've been working on really hard for, 60 years. Because
Good job.
yeah, because
Keep going.
it still has its moments, There have been days where I can't even look in the mirror and appreciate what I've seen. But then there are other days where I could say, now I see what my wife sees in me, or now I see what my friends may have said about me, It's a tough journey sometimes, but it's tougher if you don't take the journey because you just sit in all that negativity and it's like sloth to me at that point. You're just kind of stuck in the muck and the mire,
Or you're just okay. Some people they're just okay,
Yeah, I don't want to be just okay. I want to
Me
be great.
neither. Yes, I want to be thriving.
Yeah, I want to be fucking awesome. I want to.
Yes.
I want to really live in that.
Like I came here to be a human. Like I want to be the most fully expressed human. Like let's
Yeah.
do this human thing.
Yeah. If I'm going to be here, we might as well.
Yes.
So we touched a little bit on the spiritual community and how sometimes the whole love and light thing. So what's the difference between bypassing discomfort and actually holding space for real healing?
Yeah, I think it's first recognizing that can be a pattern. So bypassing is what we were often taught to just push down your feelings.
Yeah.
So, and there are certain cases where it's just not appropriate, like if you're at work, if you can't just start screaming at your kids, so
Yeah.
I can really appreciate that there's a time and a place to do it. But that's why it's nice and important to have people in our lives that we can let some of the steam out. I'm kind of always picture a kettle where it's let some of the air out or it's just going to explode.
Yeah.
So I think it's giving yourself the time and space to do what I call energetic housekeeping. And that is actually letting yourself roll around the ground and growl and make noises and moan and, just like all of us are connected to this frequency of the US that is very fast. So I lived in Mexico for 4 months in the mountains and just got to meditate all the time and stare at the mountains, and they were my friend. And the frequency there is so much slower. And so I think what a lot of people don't appreciate is it's not only the day-to-day stuff that's going on, but it's also the fast frequency of the United States. It can start to feel like a heavy burden that a lot of us are carrying, the do more, set goals, keep going, achieve bigger, grow, more. And so it's kind of like us, if you don't let out some of that tension, it's like we're all trying to carry around our own personal boulder of stress and overwhelm. And so I think if we can let there be disruptions, allowing for there to be little ruptures in relationships, even, going back to the dynamic of talking to your partner about okay, if I'm feeling upset about something, can we agree that it's okay, that I just express it in the moment, or just make a little a little growl or a little irritation. And I'll tell you, it's a practice because I am someone that was a pro at stuffing down my feelings and emotions. And so sometimes I have to practice. So the best way to kind of begin to express or to share when things are truly up for us is practicing when it's not in the moment. And so giving yourself time and space to actually say okay, how would I want to react to this again in the future? How can I instead of just pushing down my feelings, how can I say, like, ouch, or that didn't feel good, or like, I don't want you talking to me that, or you're not my mama. You're not my mama. You can't tell me what to do. I'm an adult. So that spiritual bypassing, I think that, like, it can come from this little sweet, immature, like, young part of us. Of just, I'm going to be a good girl. I'm going to be a good boy. I don't want to disrupt. I don't want to rock the boat. You know, like, so I see, like, the real sweet young part of us that doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
That's like, you're always supposed to be agreeable and happy. You know, it's like, that's where your value lies. If you're not agreeable and happy, then what good are you? You know, it's like a lot of the story that runs through people's minds, I think. Yeah. And so giving yourself permission to be a little bit inconvenient sometimes.
Yeah.
Is like, I think, a big piece of this spiritual bypassing. And also just having trusted people in our life that we can blow off some of that steam with.
Yeah. Establishing that tribe or that group or even that one person that you know you can go to. And they're just going to sit there and let you growl, let you scream, let you grunt, let you moan, whatever it might be, because they know it's not about them, and they know that it's healthy for you to express it.
And I will say, I do think people are getting better at that, and not spiritual bypassing. I do feel like that has become more and more part of the conversation, and to me, my commitment is always to authentic, and so just, it's again, like, what do you value? So if one of your values is authenticity, saying, like, okay, I'm committed to bringing the most authentic version of me forward. And sometimes that doesn't always mean being in a cheerful mood or a happy mood. And what I found, though, is so interesting is, like, when you do let yourself just move that energy and express, you kind of tend to be a little more positive and happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a natural byproduct of that. Of letting them, because that's been reflected for me a lot, actually. It's like, you're such a positive person, and it's like, well, that's not intentional. It's not what I'm doing. I'm just being the most true to myself all the time. Like, I would not consider myself a positive person, because I'm very quick to say this sucks if it does, you know. And I think that's, like, they just maybe don't have language for it, the correct language, and so they just label it as positivity. You know, like, I'm dating right now, and so if someone's like, I only want positive people and no drama and protective peace. It's like, okay, you've clearly not done any shadow work. You're not interested in looking and being an empowered person yet. You know, like, maybe someday you will. Yeah. But it's, just allowing what's real to come forward.
Yeah. You'd have to, you're looking for that. I'm not the person that you want to spend time with, believe me.
Nope. No.
You are not going to get that from me.
I'm not dramatic, but I am real.
Yes. Yeah.
I speak truth.
If you're looking for somebody that's always going to be sunshine and rainbows, you got to look somewhere else.
That's not a possibility. Or if it is, like, okay, let's go down that for a second. So if you're a man looking for a woman that is always positive and happy and that is suppression. She's going to have so much backed up emotion. It goes from here, the chin, all the way down. And so she's going to be locked in. And so you're not ever going to have access to her heart, her belly, like her softness. It's just not going to happen.
No. But in a lot of those cases, guys don't realize that.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's perfect. Like, like the correct people find each other.
Yep, exactly right. Mm-hmm. So when men start to step into this space, like the love light and truly supporting themselves, what kind of qualities begin to shift and emerge for them? Or what can happen?
Yeah, so I feel like our body is always cueing something to our own nervous system and to our own soul. And so if you have noticed the way some men walk around in protective, like their shoulders are slumped forward, they're protecting their heart space. Yeah. So they can start to signal to the universe, I'm safe, which means their shoulders are back, their chest is out, they're proud, they're walking with this more secure structure for themselves is really, it's like subtle yet incredibly powerful.
I've noticed when I'm in a good space where I'm feeling good about myself and I'm out in the world, whether it's, just running to Target for something or, out doing some shopping or whatever it might be, if I'm in that healthy space, I have noticed that my posture's different and my confidence in my walk even is different. And in those moments, I've actually seen reactions towards me of people, walking in the opposite direction, where people will nod, smile, say hi, versus those days where I feel like crap, I'm in a pissy mood, something angered me, and then people will literally, like, the seas part, because nobody wants to say word one to you. And people don't realize how subtle but how obvious it can be.
Yeah, and I think too, if you're opening your heart up to run more love through your body, you're naturally going to feel more supported and more trusting, and that's going to bring more confidence.
Yes.
And so with that posture, we're constantly signaling to our body. So what I love about this is, okay, say your body's really tight, you're scared, you're anxious. Your body is going to release more cortisol. That's just how it works, the stress hormone.
Okay.
And so when we work on softening parts of our body, letting go, like really noticing what our shoulders are doing, softening through the belly, then our body naturally produces less cortisol, which is just, I think it's so incredible how powerful we are and we don't realize it. And so hormones are just chemical messengers. They're sending information of what the body needs to do throughout. And so it can be very disruptive and harmful if too much cortisol, if the incorrect hormones are going through our body. And so even just by simply shifting our posture and being like really tuning into how we're holding our body, we can be healthier. I just think that's so cool. We're little miracles, each one of us.
Yeah,
is just a
we
little
really
miracle.
are. The fact that I can think my way into an adrenaline rush or a dopamine rush or something like that, just by thinking about something in particular. Our mind can create physical chemical changes in this body to improve or to hurt our bodies,
Yeah, it's just like, I always say, like, anyone that doesn't believe in energy, like, well, do you believe in stress? Because stress is a form of energy.
Yeah.
And so if you're working yourself up into stress, they've proven that stress causes illness, right? So it's like, it's all the same. Energy, stress, illness, right? They're all in that same vein. And so just really paying attention to stressful posture over time can cause illness. And so just taking the power back into, like, okay, what can I take responsibility for here within my journey here of being a healthy individual? Well, I can control my posture. I can control how much tension I have in my body. It can take a bit to unwind it, but it does require tuning into the body and starting to notice where these tension patterns are. But over time, you really can shift and start to relax them.
Yeah, and I think that's a great step for men who feel like, I don't know, whether they're in victim mode or feel like the whole world's out to get them or feel like, they're pissed off at everybody all the time, to be able to shift that kind of thing, to know that they can make that choice themselves. And it's not up to the entire world to change. It's up to you to shift how you see yourself and the entire world and that relationship.
Yeah, and I actually just thought of an example. There's this man that was telling me, like, okay, he has this really contentious relationship with his ex, and they share a child together. And she's just kind of getting more and more unhinged, and it's breaking his heart because he just wants his daughter to have a mother that can show up, right? Yeah. And he was telling me, like, it derails my whole day. When I see an email in my inbox, it just derails my whole day. My heart rate goes up, my spike, I can't concentrate. It's hard for me to be at work. And so I was like, okay, what if you just imagine, like, don't open the email, but when you see it come through, carve out a minute and you close your eyes, you take a deep breath, and you imagine that you are a mountain. And just like letting yourself be this mountain for a few breaths and just saying that no matter what, I'm going to keep myself safe within this mountain of structure. And he did it. And he's like, that actually worked. that actually worked for me. Because he'd just been doing the same pattern over and over and over. Opening the email, like totally messing up his day. Open up the email,
Sure.
and I'm like, okay, well, let's break that. And just, it might not have worked. The mountain thing might not have worked. But just trying something. Because a lot of men, like, I have so much compassion for, like, I mean, yes, women earn and make money. And, like, I'm not like demeaning anything that women do. But for a lot of men, they do make more money, and they are carrying like the load of the work and like trying to hold the structure and make money and plan. Like if you're a masculine man, if you're any man, but I think especially if you're a masculine man, you are going to want to hold the structure, and you're going to want to hold it all together for yourself and for your kids and for your for your community, whatever, however far it extends out. And so that can be a lot.
Yeah.
That can be a lot. And so just taking a breath for men and just appreciating, like, wow, okay, it's not that I don't have it. I got it. I can handle this. I know I do. And let's come up with a few practices to where I feel a little more regulated when these really intense moments come up.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, where were you when I had my first divorce? Because that conversation would have been really, really helpful.
It can be very like agitating, like, woo, activating the whole system. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, she's, and speaking from the man's perspective, I mean, I was all my life the breadwinner, the one who worked 60, 70 hours a week, or I was always, in charge, whatever I did. So, I had this way of living. And when I left work and retired, and Alara, being quite a bit younger than me, continued to work and to, help support the family, I had a lot of healing to do around that, because now I'm the stay-home dad. I'm the primary contact if he needs to be picked up from school. I'm the one that gets him to his piano lesson. I'm the one that usually gets dinner ready and takes care of the house most of the time. And that was a big shift for me to be okay with it, because it's not the way I was raised. Mm-hmm. And it's not the experience I had prior to being with this woman.
I'm sure there's all kinds of stories that came up for you.
All kinds.
Yeah, that's beautiful work there to do.
Yes, yeah. It's worth it, and it's amazing, and it's still a process. Still a process.
Oh my goodness, I bet.
Yeah. Triggers still happen all the time. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, for men that are listening right now, where could they start this work today? Like, what is a couple of steps they could take?
Yeah, so I think it's first just finding ways to feel safe in the body. So seeking out emotional regulation practices and techniques. And for some, meditation is enough. I mean, some men just need to go like to a punching bag. That can be a regulating activity. Yeah. Breath work. There's so many different practices when we think of nervous system regulation, but that is where I would start. Is just saying like, okay, I don't need to figure out my whole life, but why don't I see how I can keep myself in a more like centered, grounded place? Like that would be step one. Yeah. Bringing safety to the body. And it's a vibration too. It's like we're all sensitive beings. And so if you're talking to someone and you can just feel like the tension radiating off of their body, it's like so challenging to have just a normal conversation with that person. It's always like, oh, is this going to trip them up? Is it going to trigger them? Am I safe to share right now? It's like, are they going to take it the wrong way?
Right.
And when we're emotionally regulated, we're more relaxed, we're more open, we're more willing to give the other person the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. So now on the other side of that, what would, for the women or the partners of these guys who are now about to try to go through some sort of shift, what does support look like without falling into the whole fixing or enabling kind of scenario?
Yeah. So for women, our work is to just notice where do I have a tendency to mother? And just doing your best to reel that in, because if we want strong men, we cannot treat them like our children. And it would just be a simple thing of asking, like, if there's anything I can do to support you, please let me know. Because you're keeping it in his realm, and so he will let you know if there's anything you do. But until then, I mean, that would be like the kindest, most direct way to say, I'm here, I've got you if you need me, but I'm going to trust that you'll let me know if you need anything. So it's keeping him in his masculine structure instead of just assuming that you know what's right or best for him.
Yeah.
It is hard, though. I mean, I will say, like, for us women, we are such natural nurturers, and so it is sometimes really a practice in biting our tongue and taking a breath, because it feels like love to us. It doesn't feel like love to the man when we mother.
Yeah. No,
so it can get a little tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
I know from experience.
Yep. And also to be able to be in that position as a partner and a supporter and not take any of it personally. Mm-hmm. That's a huge thing, because I mean, I've had moments where I've been afraid to share because my partner, I knew they were going to take it personally when it had nothing to do with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's when I think it's good, and I feel like you mentioned this before when we had our prep call, but it's important to have other people in our life to share with. Yes. For men to share with people outside of their partnership.
Yes, yeah, because sometimes your partner is not the right person for what you need support for.
Yeah, and it's so important for men to be with other men, to have support from other men. Like, we all need that. Women need it from other women too, and there is this like desire, I think, to kind of complain about your partner, but it's almost like you can do it in a way where it's still respectful and loving. You know, it's okay to say, like, I have a hard time with this thing that she does. You're not saying she's a bitch. You're not saying, like, you can't stand her. You're just being honest about, like, this is challenging for me when this comes up.
Yeah.
You know, there's a way to do it that still honors your love that you share with each other.
Right. And sometimes you can't say it to her.
Right.
Like, directly. And it goes both ways. Like, if there's stuff about me that you're annoyed by, I would probably take it personally. Mm-hmm. If I were in that situation.
Yeah, and then you just have to look like where in the part of me is guarding, because being defensive is just guarding. And so you're closing your heart in that moment. And so just checking in and, really getting curious about, why does this bother me so much? Why do I feel offended in this moment? Like, this might not have anything to do with this person. Like, that's the beautiful work of relationships, is it's a constant journey and knowing yourself in a deeper way and getting clear on, why is this upsetting me right now? Like, really redirecting it back to self.
Yep. And it is so rewarding to do that work and be in that relationship and support each other in that way. Mm-hmm. It's so rewarding.
It is. Yeah.
If every man could hear one truth about themselves today, what would you want that truth to be?
That the masculine is such a gift. Such a gift. There's a lot of emphasis put on the beauty of women and the feminine form and the nurturing and the love, but gosh, there is just such a gift to a man that allows himself to just take the lead, or just to even softly hold the structure, or just help you see things in a little bit of a different light. Just like that way, that the vision that some men have, that I think that it's not just one thing. I couldn't narrow it down to just one thing. I mean, whether it's a partner or just a friend, like getting a hug from a man that's there and he's just saying, like, I got you, come here, come in for a hug. Wow. It is such a tremendous gift.
Yeah, I think that what you said is probably the most important thing from a man's perspective, because I think in the society that we're in now, as a man, with good reason in a lot of cases because of the patriarchy that's running things the way it is right now, as a man, we're used to being blamed for everything. And not all of us guys had anything to do with that, but we're used to hearing it all the time. So for someone else to say, it's a gift for you to be the way you're being right now. You know, it's a gift to me, to us as a family, to the community, to the world. To me, that's the one thing that would really resonate with my heart.
Yeah, and so
thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, that's been a big part of my journey this year, is just learning as much as I can about men. And Queen's Code is the name of the book by Alison Armstrong. One of her biggest things, if you've ever heard her talk, it's that women, we have the power to turn men into frogs or into princes. So we have the ability to bring out the worst in men when we nag and complain and we're disrespectful and we castrate them, or we have the ability to bring out the best in them, which ignites their provider protector, and it's all in our frequency and our the way that we show up. And so if I'm a woman and I'm showing up with respect, I'm looking in the eye, I'm being quiet, I'm allowing you to finish your thought, I'm interested in what you're saying, I never belittle you, I never make you wrong. It's like there is a way to show up with men where we are going to be safer as women. And that is with respect and appreciation. 95% of men are kind, and they have this desire to provide and protect. There's just like 5% that are actual sociopaths, that don't care. But I truly believe most men have it in them to be good men. They may have lost connection with it because they have been treated poorly. But I truly believe that we have to take equal responsibility for how the men are showing up.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Kayla, this has been an amazing conversation, and I would venture to say that we could probably keep talking for hours and hours and continue, not just on this subject, but there's probably others that we could touch on, and who knows, maybe we will someday. Would you please take a few moments to let the listeners know what's going on in your world, what you've got coming up, how they could maybe reach out to you for individual sessions or group things that you've got coming up? Please share.
The thing that I'm most excited about right now is this program that I've created for men. It's called Rising Man. It's an online 8-week program. It starts in October. And we are basically going to be doing a lot of what we discussed today. So building the masculine structure, bringing more confidence and strength into everyday life for man. And I just could not be... this has been a spirit-led program that it was strong. I was being guided the whole way when I wrote and created this program. It's going to be incredibly powerful, and I need to get a group of men together so that we can do this and co-create something really powerful. So that's the thing I'm most excited about. I do one-on-one sessions here in Kansas City, but I also do online. I have a client in Chicago, so I also do Zoom sessions when needed. But it's basically, my purpose is to help people move into greater aliveness, greater awareness, more expansion, feeling more in their heart, thriving empowered people.
Yeah.
That's my mission.
Okay. So to be clear, you work with both men and women.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And where can they reach out to you?
So on my website, it's called lovingsoulskc.com.
Okay.
There's a lot of information about local events I'm doing. I'm hosting 2 events here in Kansas City in September. One's a Love Light group attunement, and then one for women called Authentic Feminine Expression, because I believe inside of every woman is a stifled scream.
Okay.
So I want to get the women together so that we can really let loose our primitive woman. So yeah, I have an equal love and appreciation for both men and women. And it's I started with women, but the more I did, the more I saw okay, I'm a woman that really loves men. And so I also feel a real desire to be with men in that space. So I love to do both.
Good. And so I'll make sure I get that in our show notes. For those of you who are listening, please go back to the description, because the show notes will have her contact information. And then to just recap, your event in October is called
Yes, the Rising Man.
The Rising Man, and that's October. Yeah. And is that something they can register for at your website?
Yes, it's under events.
All right, good. Kayla, this has been fantastic. I'm really grateful that you stopped by. I really enjoyed our conversation. I literally could keep talking to you for a few more hours.
So good.
Yeah, fantastic. So before we close, I just want to take a breath to honor what Kayla brought to this space today. Conversations like this remind me that spirituality isn't about floating above life. It's about being real enough to meet life as it is. Kayla's wisdom cuts through the fluff with such clarity and compassion. She doesn't just talk about the nervous system repair or the honest masculine. She embodies it. If you felt something land today, maybe a truth you've been avoiding, maybe a doorway into more integrity, I invite you to sit with it. Let it work on you. And remember, honesty isn't the opposite of love and light. It's what gives them roots. Kayla, thank you for your depth today, the groundedness and the courage you bring to this work. I'm grateful we all got to witness it. And to you listening out there, carry one small practice from today into your week. Whether it's choosing a phrase that heals, pausing before you bypass, or softening into presence, being in your heart. These micro changes shape the kind of world we build together. Thank you for being here with me. And remember, every single week, every single day, you're getting closer and closer to Aligned AF. Be well. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode spoke to you at all, share it with a friend or someone who needs it. You can also leave a review or connect with me online. You can find Aligned AF on YouTube, Facebook, your favorite podcast channel, or at alignedaf.org. And if you want to reach out directly, you can email me at AlignedAFPodcast@gmail.com. So until next time, stay aligned AF.